Hey everybody, Julie Quinn here, and I'm going to go over Module 4, which begins, if you're watching this, either tomorrow or the week has already started once you get access to the announcement that this video is embedded in. So, you'll notice that when you click on Module 4, this is what you see for the term. We've got a one-page introduction, we've got the actual MindEdge module, 2 gradable assignments this week, and a little 3-question, very brief survey. So let's take a look at what's inside the module, just so you and I, all of us, are on the same page. Let me go ahead and make sure we're opening there. There are 9 individualized pages inside the module. Some of them are shorter, some of them a little bit longer. This week is different because, of course, there are 2 main assignments that go into Brightspace and not just one. So let's take a peek. You're going to read about the thesis statements. Thesis statements, it's a sentence that is the main thrust or the main argument that your upcoming analysis paper will be about. So you've chosen an article that you are analyzing across the 7 to 8 weeks of our term, and then you're going to make arguments about that. You're going to say, I've done a deep enough reading that I have a position on this article, and that will be your thesis statement. So your first reading is about the design of a thesis statement. You are not required to specifically use this framework in this example here, but it says you can use it to help. And the idea behind how this framework works is that your thesis is an argument in 2 parts. The author is arguing this, the author is saying this, and I agree or disagree, because of a series of reasons. And that's what's nice about this example, is that it shows you that there is space to explain, to use data to support your argument. Here's an example outside of your reading. Say you've done some research on the death penalty and you've determined based on a variety of factors that you don't support it, and you want to write an argumentative essay on that topic. You could say, the death penalty should be blocked in the United States. That's an opinion, so that's your argument, because it's too costly, because innocent people can be murdered, and because of the racial implications of jury use of the death penalty, whatever reasons you may have. Those 3 reasons are the data that support your position. And that's just what this framework is showing you. Whether you set it up with the article's main claim of blank is blank, or you set up, something else. Willingham makes the wrong case for multitasking, because, right? So that is an opinion, and then you use examples specifically from the text to back up your statement. So you've got readings on thesis statements, and you've got practice in here. These are just little exercises to practice what makes a weak thesis statement, what makes a strong thesis statement. Weak thesis statements, for example, are also thesis statements that are facts, because you can't argue actual facts, or when you argue with the crowd. You say something like, murder is wrong. Well, I think most people know that, most people agree with you. So when you make an argument that people already believe, you're not testing the limits of your critical thinking, and you're not really taking your readers anywhere that they haven't already been. So those first couple readings are about identifying a thesis statement. An exercise for 3 will give you the option to use that framework or a different one to make an argument because of a set of reasons. You'll see here that the rubric is quite short for this. It's just main claim. Do you make an argument? Do you have 3 key points? And then, grammatical proficiency. The next reading is called the Incubation Period. It's an opportunity to take some time to think about the sources, and we're going to move beyond just how we feel about it based on our personal life, and we're going to shift into the space of, we're going to write this paper, and it's not going to be about our personal experiences. We're going to write a deep reading critical analysis saying the text says this, and it does this, and this is why it's wrong or right. Or this is why it's good or bad, whatever your opinion may be. Taking the time to separate from the reading, to think about how we integrate sources like quotes and paraphrases is the last half of this module. You're going to read about quoting, paraphrasing, and summarizing. this is the most important module of the term. You want to make sure when you quote, when you borrow word for word, that you use quote marks and you don't change anything. You'll learn in these upcoming assignments and practice reading that when you want to put it in your own words, and there will be a video a little bit later in the week that talks about the differences between quoting and paraphrasing. I have another tutorial of my own that I'm putting in the announcement, so check that out. That should be out on Tuesday. But you want to make sure that when you paraphrase because you want to show you understand a text and you can explain it in your own words to other people, which means it needs to be entirely in your own words, not even slightly close to the phrasing of the original source. But in both paraphrasing and quoting, you always name your source. And so this is what you're practicing. And if you haven't done this in a while, don't worry. Spend extra time working in this section of the module and set up time to conference with me later this week. That's what my conference times are for. I'm pretty open on Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. Not so much Wednesday and Thursday, just because of my face-to-face teaching schedule. So you'll take a look at when do I quote, when do I paraphrase, integrating sources, different readings and practice for it with some video and some practice inside MindEdge. When you're ready, you'll have 2 submissions for the week, both due Sunday. You know, there are no discussion boards this week, so the Sunday deadline is intact. Identifying that thesis statement, that's a 1-sentence submission, plus your quoting, paraphrasing, and summarizing assignment. Let me just highlight this rubric for the quoting and paraphrasing and summarizing assignment. I have to grade my contract. I promise that I'm going to grade based on the assignment rubric, right? So when you're done each assignment, 4.3 and 4.6, what I'd like you to do is print them out and print out the rubrics for each one and use them as an editorial checklist. Go side by side. And so for your paraphrasing and quoting, here's an example. I have mine up, and then I've got my rubric that you see on the screen here right next to me, both in hard copy. And I look at my practice. I look at my submission. Is it 3 or 4 sentences? 3 to 4, not 2, not 5 or more. That's so the 2 submissions you have this week are tops 5 sentences. It's not long work, but you're conceptually trying really new things that you maybe or you haven't done in a decade. So the understanding is low volume this week. High focus, okay? So proficient will get it in 3 to 4 sentences that you clearly use your own words. So no quotes whatsoever, right? And that when you name your source, because you've been practicing that whether you quote or you paraphrase or you summarize or what have you, regardless of the style, you always name your source. And so I want the source in the paragraph, okay? So if you use this checklist, I guarantee you at least a letter grade higher than what you would have gotten otherwise, you know, unless English is your forte. But I am here to help you interpret these assignments. And so all you got to do is go through the week, do the best that you can, and then reach out and let me know if you have any questions. I look forward to seeing your work this week. Take care.